Oh, wow. Mitchell!
So, brother, so am I looking at you?
Zelinger.
Or am I looking at it? Where the fuck am I looking?
Look wherever you want, man. Wow. Jeez Louise. I'm so excited to have you on, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is great. And this isn't headquarters. This is the studio space. This is an extension of Tangram. This is one of your many offices.
It's one of 6, but the original intent for the downtown space was to put us in downtown.
Yeah.
So we started at the Pact Mutual building. I can't remember the exact time frame. Had to be 10 years ago, maybe 11. And I believe we've been in this space now, or the building, the collection, for I think 6 years. All I know is we just renewed our lease. So whatever the timeline is for that.
I feel like you guys were one of the first movers in this building. Like you guys came, and then a lot of the industry came after you.
So in our ecosystem, a independent rep group called Archetype was on the 8th floor. Joe and Jean-Guy, and they were the driver for Charlotte, mostly Charlotte, looking at this space because of the guys on the 8th floor.
Yeah.
And so they were number 1-ish, and then we were probably number 2B. And when we moved onto the 6th floor, the staff was challenged with Monday and Thursday night football. Everybody invite 2 people. Not 22 people, just 2 people, so that everybody was participating in some sort of sales activity.
Yeah, creating community.
Creating community.
Was that harder to do since COVID? Not because of the, I'm not really referring to COVID itself. I'm more referring to, I feel like downtown LA and downtowns in general were having this revibrance where everyone was kind of moving back into the city. And then COVID happened, and I feel like downtowns across the country, but specifically here in Los Angeles, if you think about what downtown LA looked like pre-COVID to what it looks like today.
So pre-COVID, downtown, especially where we are today, this was the corner of Main and Main.
It was the spot.
It was the spot. I wanted both of my daughters to move into downtown because I think all kids, as a part of their maturation process, should live in an urban environment. I get Sherman Oaks is nice. It's a bedroom community. You don't really have to think that much to cross the street. I think you should live in an urban environment where you've got the crisscross of pretty much everything going on. Lots of different people, lots of everything. And downtown LA was an absolute destination, and 7th and Grand was like, for me, it was ground zero. It was fantastic. And then COVID. So downtown LA in my lifetime became a destination. And now I worry, post-COVID, that I don't know if it will become what it was in my lifetime.
Would you recommend your girls live downtown?
I would not today, and only, not today and only because...
I know that's hard for you to say, being an urban guy yourself.
Only because I worry about my 2 young daughters in downtown, and we're back to having a buddy system when we leave the office to go to the parking lot. So we had it once before, we got rid of it because we didn't need it, and now we're back to it.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate that's kind of what's happened, because you're right, there was magic in the air pre-COVID in downtown LA. It was billion-dollar projects going up everywhere, all these cool restaurants, bars. I mean, I remember you and I going to that really cool hotel that opened up right down the street, its grand opening, having dinner there, and just feeling like, gosh, there was like magic in the air.
There was magic in the air.
And then it just kind of fell off a cliff.
COVID killed it.
Yeah. And I think that's LA's not the only city that's going through that, but I would say LA has had a harder time bouncing back. Like I know I know you're from New York, but you talk to people in New York and they're like, "Oh, the city's back. It's magical again." Other places like that, places in Europe, whether it's Paris or London, like there's magic back in urban environments. But unfortunately, like here, it just
Los
hasn't caught up.
Angeles is a laggard. It's very, very upsetting.
Yeah. Well, how long have you been in Los Angeles for?
I graduated high school in 1980, and 7 days later, I was living with my uncle and aunt in Beverly Hills, 18 years old.
Pre-high school though, I always think of you as a New York guy.
So I graduated Spring Valley High School in New York. Spring Valley, about 45 minutes north of Manhattan. Day after high school graduation, I was driving out to California to live with my uncle and aunt.
What? So you are one of my favorite friends, but specifically, I just love the what you represent as a person. And I feel like the rawness, the autism, the being so authentic. Like, is that all part of being like growing up in New York? Like, just you kind of say it as you see it.
Yes, but I know that happens in many different places. I think I speak for everyone when I tell my new friend, no apologies, just do what you need to do, and it's all good. And if you stub you'll hear from me. When you need to hear from me, you'll hear from me. It's all good. You know, we had a group in for lunch today, and I had 5 different types of salmon, and you know, like I would tell my family, if take a bite, if you don't like it, put it back on the plate, and someone else will eat it. Well, I was with 10 designers, so I'm like, take a bite. If you don't like it, put it back on the plate, and someone else will eat it. And pretty much like I would do at home and with my best friends. What are we going to take a bite? Get rid of it? No,
Yeah.
take a bite. You don't like it? Put it back on the plate. Pass it down.
Where does that come from?
I think I'm just the inside voice for everybody
Yeah.
on the outside.
Mom and dad like that?
No, not at all.
No?
No. My brother would have been. It helps break down the walls of just, if you're making the wrong fucking turn, you shouldn't be going right. You should be going fucking right or left. So there's no, Sean, what were you thinking? You should have made a left fucking turn. There's no, if you got to get from point A to point B and you're going the wrong way, how well should I tell you what were you thinking?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's super rare because like people are so quickly to kind of slap your wrist and say you shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, but come on, this is silly.
That's cool because not many people are like you in that regard, where they give a lot of grace and they allow people to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. But I feel like you don't take offense. Like
No.
when you do things, if people aren't into it, you're like, no biggie,
It's
just
all
move
good.
on.
All good. All good.
Where does that come from? Where'd you learn that?
Definitely not my father and definitely not my mother. Probably a little bit of my brother, who's 10 years older, and then just me.
Yeah.
I wasn't introduced to Larry David until later, but I have no doubt I'm more of the inside voice for a whole lot of folk that just articulates the inside voice.
Yeah. Well, it's cool too because I feel like that's a lot of the culture that you've created here at Tangram. It's a safe place.
It's safe.
Yeah.
It's safe.
And I feel like in a company that has had the success that Tangram's had, one of the biggest dealerships in the country, you've created an environment where people push themselves. There's high expectations with high nurture. It's, hey, if we make mistakes, that's all good. We're going to learn from it and move forward.
So when we moved into this space, Charlotte was charged. So I'm not an architect and I'm not a designer.
And Charlotte, for the viewers, is
Charlotte is the president of Studio Other, which is our custom group within the Tangram family of companies. She leads a team of industrial designers and engineers. And those cats speak a language that I do not get, but I know what passion looks like. And when Charlotte was charged with this space that we're in today, it was, she designed it around the kitchen.
Yeah.
And my ode to makers is the kitchen, because what I can't do what a designer and an architect does, I could certainly make something in the kitchen with my 2 hands. And if something comes out like shit, guess what? We'll order a fucking pizza. At the worst case scenario, we'll eat pizza.
Yeah.
So there's really nothing bad.
Yeah.
If it's no good, get it the fuck out, and it's all good. But try. I joke with with Joe Lozowski, who's the CEO of Tangram, and Nick Meter and Amber Jones, two of our newest sales leaders, that Tangram as a whole does not need to throw away any recipe. It just needs to take the recipe we have, and while no one is looking, while no one is paying attention to the tomato sauce, put a packet of Splenda or a tablespoon of sugar into the tomato sauce and watch what happens. It's a tablespoon of sugar. I mean, that's all we had to do to change the recipe.
Yeah.
We don't need to get rid of anything. Just fucking play around.
Yeah.
Add a sprinkle of sugar.
Yeah.
That's it. And so on the sales side, just try something. Make a sales call with your left eye closed. See what happens. You mean, really? My left? Yeah, it's so stupid. Try it. So we're all making sales calls with our left eye closed. It's the craziest thing. Why would you not do that? Have fun with selling. Listen, we get beat up all day. When Lindsay Sage first got into sales, we made a game of, she had to send me a photograph from the lobby of design firms. So she may not have met somebody at the design firm, but the fact that she was in the lobby, she was that much closer. If she had to meet with Spear, the fact that she was in the lobby was so much closer than the other guys.
Yeah.
The other guys are waiting for, I don't know what the fuck they're waiting for, but we're not waiting. Let's go. And we made a game of send me a photograph from 5 lobbies today. I don't give a fuck if you don't see anybody. You're that much closer. It's silly, just having fun on the sales side. It's the toughest gig ever. We get smacked and beat up pretty much every day. Have fun with it.
Yeah, and when you have fun, you don't burn out as quickly.
Look what's going on in the space today. I'm the oldest guy here as of now, before the next wave of people come in. I don't know. I'm 25 years older than the next oldest. And to be almost 62, I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
Look, what the fuck?
It's great.
Seriously, Spear with Hercules over here. What the fuck? Seriously.
Yeah.
Mr. Adonis, this is what you showed up with?
Gosh, the way I look at you, Mitchell, is getting best practices on sales from Mr. Miyagi.
Mr. Miyagi.
But I think what you've been able to do is create a community, create a family, create a safe space for people, and have fun.
Have fun.
Have fun. I know you're ultra competitive, so you want to win, but hey, let's win while we're having fun.
Silly sells.
Yeah.
So all things being equal, if we're selling the same thing, if the 3 of us are selling a loaf of bread, I mean, I know why they're buying from him. We'll take care of that later. But if the 3 of us are selling a loaf of bread, you might as well buy it from someone you can have the most fun with.
That's so true.
It's a fucking loaf of bread. It's a loaf of bread.
Okay, we got to start from the beginning. Walk me through the early days. That was such a good little. Gosh, that was so good. Like how that guy that just came out there, right? Like, walk me through early days to how we got here today. Not Tangram. Like, I want to know about New York. I want to know about school. Like, I want to know Mitchel Zelinger's story.
So if my friends from Spring Valley High School, and you know who you are listening, most of my friends went to Ivy League schools. And if they weren't Ivy League, they were on the cusp of Ivy League. And then there was me. And I'm fortunate that I had a circle of friends in high school that pretty much helped me get through school. Because, I mean, here, like, I did not fit the circle. I mean, I know how the greater circle fit. They were the smart ones, and then there I was. But that group helped get me to graduate high school, no doubt. And so that was New York.
So you're friends with all the brainiacs.
All the fucking brainiacs, who I refuse to talk to today because they're still fucking brainiacs.
But right, like, okay, so you're friends with all the brainiacs, but what did they see in you? Just this guy that was fun and funny and an athlete.
Funny, the catcher on the baseball team, silly. My mom, for all of her shortcomings, made sure my home was always open to my friends.
It's cool.
But, when I graduated, June 18th of 1980, but who remembers the exact moment in time?
My
June
birthday.
18th, 1980. On June 19th, I was on my way from New York to California
To be with your aunt and uncle.
to live. I needed to separate from my mom, and my brother was the chief architect in my leaving New York to live with my uncle and aunt.
And you went to Northridge.
Graduated, my kids will laugh, Northridge, the Harvard of the Valley. But at Northridge, my first mentor, that which I knew to be a mentor, who knew what a mentor was, but my first mentor ever was my marketing professor at Northridge, Bill Crookston. For those of you that are in your 40s to late 50s, if you went to USC and you were part of the entrepreneur program, Bill Crookston worked with Tom O'Melia, and they created the entrepreneur program at USC.
Wow.
I was Bill Crookston's, of all the guys for him to gravitate towards, he gravitated to, we had this thing that was really awesome. So when I graduated Northridge and went to work with my dad.
Wait, let's take a step back. What did you learn from him? What was it about him that stuck out to you out of all your professors?
He always checked in on me. And I could cry about it because I think what I do today is I check in with everybody.
Yeah.
And I was always one of his last phone calls just to check in on his student. So the impact of a teacher with a student, he was always watching over me.
Yeah.
Bill Crookston and Mitchel Zelinger. Zero in common, but a lot in common.
That is unbelievably cool that you took that from him, because of so much of the way I think about you as someone who always you always check in on me. You always give me a call and want to say, hey, how you doing? What's going on? And I know that I'm not the only one. You do that with so many other people, and it's cool that you had a mentor, you had someone in your life that did that to you, had a profound impact, and now you're that guy for other people.
I hope I am that guy for a bunch of people.
Yeah.
A simple act. Look, I'm talking about him. I graduated 85, and I still talk about Bill Crookston.
But there's a difference, though, because you're not checking in with a hidden agenda. You don't want anything. You actually are super curious. You care about the person, and you want to know how they're doing. So it's much more genuine.
Yeah.
It's not a sales call. Hey, I want to sell you something. I'm just checking in because
I think most of the people
I want you to buy something from you. It's not that at all.
I think most of my troops will tell you the moment I feel a smile or hear a laugh in their voice, I will say, all right, I gotcha. Have a good night. Just to make sure they're ending with a smile. We don't need to go through 45 fucking minutes. I just want to make sure you're okay. I got you to giggle. Good night.
Wow. When do you do those calls on the way home?
Combination. I think a lot of that is Bill Crookston. A lot of that is Joe Lozowski. One of the things I love about, of all the 18,000 features in my car, the thing I like best is the contact list, and I'll spin the fucking dial, and whose ever name it ends up on, that's who I'm calling.
In your BMW?
Just because it eliminates the filter. Just spin it. Wherever it goes, that's who's getting the call. No filter. I've now called my father 5 times. He's been dead for 20 fucking years. I'm still calling the guy. See, that was funny. Thank you. That was funny. Everybody relax. That was okay.
That was good. That was good. Okay, so you had a professor at Northridge who had a profound impact on you.
Oh yeah. So I graduated. So to get through school, I worked the graveyard shift at Vons, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., and then would schlep from Beverly Hills and or Venice between the two places to Northridge. But I worked at Vons to get through school. My dad had this crazy idea of a business cleaning fabric partitions. And my dad was 60 years old at the time. I moved out in 80 to California. He moved out in 82. So if you think about the commercial office space, late 70s, early 80s, when we reference Dilbertville, and there's that spoof on Intel or one of the big companies, and it's just a sea of cubicles. Well, that's how it was in all offices. And if you go back to the 70s and 80s, those fabric partitions acted as an air filter. So back then, smoking, anything and everything was going on in the office, and the partition was acting as an air filter. So my dad figured out a way to clean the fabric on the panel without disrupting the guts within the panel. So this might be a little bit too technical, but for those of you in the business, you remember the Steelcase 9000 panel, right? Series 9000 had fiberglass. How do you get the shit that's trapped out? My father figured out a way to clean the fabric on a fabric panel, and he was 60 years old at the time. I was still working the graveyard shift, going to school. I'm about to graduate. And I remember telling my brother, Mark, Dad needs some help. I'm graduating in 6 months. I'm going to tell him I'll give him 6 months after I graduate to help him. So I'll never forget asking my dad to meet me at the Red Lobster on La Cienega and Wilshire in Beverly Hills. We met at the Red Lobster, and I said, Dad, I have a proposition for you. I want to come work for you. I graduate in December. I'll give you till June, and let's see what's happening. And I'll never forget the look in my dad's eyes. You know, his youngest child volunteering to come work in the family business. And, you know, if you have a good relationship with a parent, there's no greater look as the child looking into the eyes of the parent, and you could feel how proud the parent was of the child. In this case, my dad was overwhelmed that his youngest, like he couldn't believe, like he just hit the jackpot. And so I went to go work with my dad in the back of a converted barber shop in the Pico Robertson area. We had after the barber and his 4 chairs, my dad set up a little office, and there was my dad, Ron Prater, and myself. We were making phone calls, calling facility managers, letting them know we clean fabric partitions. I mean, think about it. We clean fabric partitions. If you want a lesson in hard sales, cold calling, try just offering, hi, it's Mitchell. We specialize in the cleaning of fabric partitions. That's great. Go fuck yourself. Right? Try dealing with that. But I realized very early on with my dad, we were, making a bunch of phone calls, and a bunch of calls were being answered and messages returned. And I realized I had a unique opportunity with my dad that we could take the business left, right, or I could take the business any which way I wanted to take it. So from 3 of us in the back of a barber shop in the Pico Robertson area to ultimately, a 40,000 square foot facility in Downey and 80 employees.
Wow.
But along the way, so I close on Bill Crookston, my professor. I hired Bill because he was a PhD. I said, Bill, you're a doctor of business. I have a business. I'd like you to give us a checkup. So he met with my dad and myself.
Was this during those first 6 months, or what did you
No,
extend the
this is
working with your dad?
now it's probably year 2 of working with my dad, and Bill. No shit, it was 1986 because I saw a copy of the letter. He wrote my dad and myself a letter saying what my dad needed to do for the business to be successful and what I needed to do. And he said that I needed to be the evangelist for the business. I've been the evangelist ever since. Bill Crookson was the first guy to see that in me. And I give kudos to Joe Lozowski because most salespeople today at Tangram, you've got to know all sorts of programs and bullshit, and you need to know how to use a tape measure and calculus and fucking geometry. And I'm like, I'm not that guy. I mean, get that. So there are no programs on my laptop. All I have is Microsoft Word. That's all I got, and Sudoku. Right? He dumbed it down, so I did the highest and best, which is to be the company's evangelist.
Yeah.
And you can see, what's going on today in downtown. This is, what the evangelist makes happen.
Yeah. Playing to your strengths.
Play to my strengths. I can do a lot of things okay, but a few things really good. So Bill was the first, and Joe absolutely was able to reinforce it.
What was the company called? Your dad
It's
started.
called On-Site Fabric Care.
And how did that company turn into you
So
working
we
with Joe
sold-
here at Tangram?
So we sold the bit. So I propositioned my dad in 1985 at the Red Lobster, and when I told my dad in 1997, when I told him he should meet me for dinner at the Red Lobster, my dad knew what he knew. We had now come full circle, and business was growing way beyond my capabilities. Selling was easy, getting the shit done. I was a shitty husband, a shitty brother, son. I sucked. It was just, the business was killing me. If you're an entrepreneur, which I've always said I am, I failed at it because when it really got difficult, I fucking gave up. It haunts me to this fucking day. Cannot believe, like, of all the guys to give up, like I gave up, I gave up. I was dangling my family, and I was just, my dad used to come over on Sundays and we would drink red wine and eat Italian cheeses and meats in the backyard. And we stopped doing that because I've grown to hate him because I needed help. And my brother tried to talk some sense into me by telling me, Mitch, if all Dad does is wait for the mailman to arrive and he gets the checks and makes a deposit so that you don't have to do it. Celebrate the thing you don't have to do. But there was so much help I needed. It was just too much. I sucked in everything. I sucked. So when I told Dad, meet me at the Red Lobster, and I told him, I need you to come over for wine and cheese. That's more important.
You needed him to be your dad.
I needed my dad to be my daddy.
Yeah.
This other shit will work itself out. But for those of you listening to this, if you have any relationship with a parent, do not let business get in the way of it. I miss my dad. I love that when I'd show up in the office, I could feel in him, my son, like you couldn't believe it. And there's no, I miss that, but nothing should get in the way of the dynamic of a healthy relationship between child and parent. And when we sold, it was probably it was without a doubt the best thing we did. Because my dad now came back to the house in Sherman Oaks, and we drank wine and ate cheese in the backyard. and I took the job. So that was good. What else you fucking got? Yeah, thank you. Do me a favor. Fuck you.
Well, I'm curious to know what were your favorite traits about your dad.
Hard work.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like, what did he, when you worked with him for, was it 12 years?
85 to
87
90
or 97?
85 to 90 98.
98. So in that time frame, like, what'd you learn from dad? What were some of his best traits?
I learned from my dad that if you made a mistake, he would want to kill you. And I would say, Dad, I mean, I know Felipe made a mistake. So let me tell you what's going to happen. You're going to kill Felipe, and then the police are going to ask me what happened. And I'm going to have to say, Mr. Officer, my dad, Felipe made a mistake. So we thought the way to, fix the mistake was to kill Felipe. So, Dad, you're going to go to fucking jail. Felipe's family's fucked. And what happens to me? Because now I've lost everything. Because Felipe made a mistake and you wanted to fucking kill him. Isn't that silly? So what I got from my dad was, it will all fucking be okay. It's all good. If we make a mistake, we'll fix it. It's not like Felipe woke up. How could I fuck with Mitchell's dad? We make mistakes. We'll fix the shit.
So
But my dad, that's an old school, like my dad's toolbox. Oh my God, by size, by weight. It was a fucking piece of art, was the toolbox. Felipe's toolbox. Mitch, look at his toolbox. Dad, it's Felipe's toolbox. You worry about your toolbox. Let Felipe worry about his toolbox.
So your dad didn't embody what you're talking about, and so you learned that maybe you had to go a different route in your leadership style.
Without a doubt. So my dad was a whole lot more bark than bite. And he was also the master dry humor. He meant none of it. But if you didn't know my dad, not much different than me. Like if someone had, God, did Mitchell just say fuck? Like he must hate you. Nah, it's like a term of endearment. My dad, if you didn't know what he meant, you would take offense to what he said. And so I think what I've been able to do is build upon that, because my dad would say fuck and you would interpret it as he wishes you were dead. I say fuck and you want to give me a hug, right? Like you guys are smiling, right? I say fuck. I mean, I know he said fuck, but come on, let's give him a hug.
Do you ever get in trouble for your mouth?
So people ask, Mitchell, you don't say fuck in front of your kids, do you? Well, here's my response to that. My fucking kids are crushing it. How are yours doing? So you worry about yours, I'll worry about mine.
But have you ever had a meeting where someone said to you, hey, Mr. Zelinger, we would prefer for you not to use the F word in this meeting?
I would prefer not to work with you, because if you can't handle fuck, wait till the project gets going. We're talking about fuck. Seriously. Now, I absolutely know my audience, and it's easy for me to play it up here. I do say it a lot. It's definitely a part of my calling card, but I absolutely I know how to play to the crowd.
And with the new sales reps that come in, do you say, speak however you want to speak, or do you try to curtail, like kind of, they can't talk the way that you talk?
Have had folks try to mimic me, and no, you can't do that. It only works for me. You try to copy me, you will get shot. So don't you be you, I'll be me. And the only thing I think to a person is be authentic and just be nice.
Yeah.
Just be nice.
I think that's huge. I think being
be
nice
nice.
is everything.
I mean, if we're all selling a loaf of bread, just be nice. I mean, it's a loaf of fucking bread. Be nice. Just be nice.
And I feel like it's talked about more nowadays, but that mindset hasn't been a big part of the corporate environment. It's all cutthroat. I got to get mine, run people over. And now you're starting to see, it's like this, it was, what was I listening to recently? It's that saying, nice guys finish last, right? We've heard it for so long. But if you I think it was 60 Minutes or whoever it was saying that like actually it's the nice guys that finish first. Because if you think about when we were hunters and gatherers, it wasn't like survival of the fittest. It was actually you survived if you were the nicest. Because if you were the nicest, you were probably the most gracious, the most generous, and like when you help other people, they want to help you. If you're just in it to get yours, people are going to find you to be selfish and they're not really going to want to help you. And so it's cool that you've always embodied that, but I also think it's cool that you've had such a successful company here. I want to go back to you selling your original company, but I feel like when I think of Tangram, I think about a kind company.
I would say we are a kind company.
Yeah.
That starts absolutely at the top. I'm very fortunate. I work for a guy that embodies all of that. And I work for a guy that has allowed me to continue being me.
Yeah. I'm excited to interview Joe. We got Joe in a week or so.
He won't say fuck. In fact, fuck him for not saying fuck.
Okay, let's go back to you selling the company. Did you sell it to Tangram? Is that the introduction here? Or how did we get here?
So if you go back to the early to mid 80s, there was a contraction starting in the furniture dealer world. And Steelcase had taken over a company called Pacific Business Interiors. Michael Linforth was recruited from the UK by Steelcase to run Tangram. So Michael was encouraged to purchase on-site Fabricare. And but at that moment in time, Steelcase owned PBI, so the check I got came from Steelcase. But ultimately, I was a part of the dealership, which was Pacific Business Interiors. That's in '98, and in 2000 is when we changed the name to Tangram. I left in 2000. Had a pretty strong contract. The Tangram at that moment in time was nothing I could be a part of, and so
Why is that?
Because we were growing and acquiring companies at such a pace, nobody was prepared. And I had no faith in, although I was a part of leadership, I was one notch below having the ability to make a decision on acquisitions, and we were acquiring shit so quick and fast, and it was just not a healthy time. And so I'll never forget meeting Michael Linforth at the Biltmore Hotel, because my contract was so tight I didn't need to show up to work, and told Michael we need to come out with a statement.
Who's Michael?
Michael was the president of now Tangram at that moment in time. I met him now I was not showing up because I lost total faith in what was going on. I don't mean to make it sound like an indictment on Michael, but an absolute indictment on his kitchen cabinet. And I needed to move on. And so we met at the Biltmore. I remember I was crying, and I said, Michael, I showed up with a hug. I need to leave with a hug. And you're going to come up with make a statement today about me moving on. You can't get out from paying me, so nothing changes. But you're gonna say something about me moving on. So I spent that first year. I was a room dad in kindergarten with Isabella. I mean, what a great experience that was. How many guys get to be a room dad in kindergarten? I mean, that was crazy. I wouldn't give that up. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Like Mitchell was a room dad. Like you went to kindergarten with Isabella. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, that's a very unique opportunity that you
Oh
have.
my God! Well, I don't
And
know.
I think
Who gets to do that?
Well, I think you have a very close relationship with your girls.
Oh, but yes.
And I don't know very many dads that got to spend their their first daughter's kindergarten year or years with
I'm
them.
still showing up at their fucking classes. Jesus.
Well,
Hasn't changed.
what was that like for you?
Which part?
Yeah, like taking the year off and being able to spend it with your family. Like it's almost like a extended sabbatical, right?
Extended sabbatical. It was Greg Lumsden, who was a dear friend at the time. Greg was a big shot at Countrywide Funding. And I'll never forget him saying, Zelinger, if you don't get back in it, you're going to go stale. And that was the aha moment. Greg Lumsden.
Did you believe that?
Oh,
Yeah, I feel like once you got it, you got it.
yeah, but no, I was, you know,
Did you miss the game?
I missed the game. I missed the fire. I missed the, if the kids made a mistake with Play-Doh, it's tough to say, what the fuck were you thinking, kid? Yo, Johnny, clean up the fucking Play-Doh. It wasn't the same. I need to get back at it. I was absolutely in fear of going stale.
Did you find that kind of rejuvenated you? Like, as in, like, was that a good pause? A good reset for Mitchell?
I think all of it. Having to give up a car because I was worried about the payments. Because of it. Every pain point along the way was all, even the pain with my dad, all of it has led to me in this chair today with you. So I don't know if it was a reset, but everything was at the right moment in time. It's all worked out okay.
Yeah. No, I think I'm asking that question because I've been thinking a lot about this myself. Like, depends on the industry that you're in, but like, I know pastors will take a sabbatical, right? Well, it's so intense. They're going full speed and they'll take 3 months, 6 months, a year just to take a break, reset, and be with their family. And like, that's not a thing in the working world. And I've been thinking to myself, well, like, man, I wonder like if we incorporated that into our society, the working world, if actually long term that would be really good for people. I know you'd be very fortunate to be in a place where you can afford to do that, but I just wonder for the psyche, like if that's something leaders should start considering, is allowing people to take extended breaks.
Nick Meter, one of our, I keep saying new, but he's been a leader for a time now. But I believe he was the first dude to take paternity leave. And I'll never forget, like, what guy takes paternity leave? You know what? How dumb. Every guy should take paternity leave.
How long is paternity leave?
I think it's the same. If a mom gets 3 months or whatever, the dad should get the same. Go home. I mean, in hindsight. Now, mind you, I didn't grow up with that.
Yeah.
Like, when my two daughters, like, it feels like I dropped Ingrid off at Cedars and then I went back to the office. I got to go, goodbye. But now it's, why would you not? I mean, now that I'm almost 62, life is such a fucking, like a blip.
Yeah.
Stay home with your kid. This shit will be here when you come back. It ain't going anywhere. Go be with you. Go do that. A sabbatical. Why would we not take it? Now, mind you, it's not for all of us. Like, I love the juice of this. Sabbatical might be too overreaching. Like a 10-day vacation is okay. Like 4-day weekends, a few of them. I'm mostly wired like that.
Yeah.
But I'm A-okay. If there's a guy having a child, take a paternity leave, which falls in line with, why would we not have you take a sabbatical? If you're going to work, I don't know, from you graduate when you're 22 and you're going to work until it's 50 years of employment. What the fuck is 1 year out of it's a moment in time, the sabbatical.
It is crazy to think about 50 years of employment, at least, especially because we're extending our lives, so it might even be longer.
Think about being 62 in January, and the goal is to be active. The goal is for me to try to play ball with him for another 18 years. I may get beat up, but he'll know I was there.
Yeah.
But at some point, I'm just not going to be able to.
Yeah.
And 80's like the number.
Yeah,
Try to think about that in
yeah, I
terms
think
of it being only 18 years away.
one of your secret sauces is you are a yes man. Like I can just recall so many moments where I was like, "Hey Mitchell, I'm gonna be doing a trail run in Santa Monica with a bunch of guys. Do you want to do it?" And you're
No,
like,
no,
"I'm
like,
there. I'm there."
love it.
You're always up for an adventure, you're up for a new experience, and that is such a
I met
incredible way to live life.
I met access to a ecosystem of guys through you. When the fuck would I meet those guys? When would I be doing calisthenics at 6:45 in the morning on ocean before we aren't you going to run into swim to the buoy and back? What do you mean swim to the buoy and back? Fuck you, man. I'll be here. I'll help you towel off.
All right, for the audience,
With these triathletes.
all right, I gotta catch the so the audience. Years ago, pre-COVID, I put together this workout group on Wednesday mornings at 6:30, which is a group of guys that would get together and just work out, and it was a way to create community around fitness. And Mitchell would show up. He was a yes man. He was always there, and we would just do some crazy workouts, and you'd have everyone laughing and
Yeah.
having fun, and
Well,
it was a good time.
yeah. I hate all of those guys. All of them, including you now. Do you know that group?
No,
Oh,
no, but Mason would have been part of it for sure.
Really? Jack
Yeah.
Mullane over there.
So as you were talking about, like, work will always be there, right? Like you had this time with your girls and how special that was. Will Friend, the CEO who passed away of Biz Now, I was with him, and I was pretty close with him. You knew him a
Yeah.
little bit, but I'll never forget on one of our morning runs we did. He basically told me, he's like, Sean, I had a mentor in my life tell me that in life you're given these glass balls, and the one ball represents one thing in your life. So it might be work. The next glass ball is your health. The next glass ball is your family. The next glass ball is maybe your spirituality. Life is all about juggling all of those balls.
And if you drop them,
And specific ones, if you drop them, you can't get them back.
they shatter.
And he's like, out of all the balls, the only one that's probably the bouncy ball is work. And he's like, you always need to remember to be focusing on the right things to make sure that those balls don't drop. And I thought that was like really
Wow.
profound. Yeah, he was a special guy. So I think like,
Focus on the right balls.
yeah, making sure you're not dropping those, whether it's
Yeah.
like your family, health, spirituality, like the things that really kind of move the needle in life. And
So-
you now at 62,
Some
almost
all bounce back.
63, you
No,
probably
no.
have so much insight on like what you think matters. Because I'm early on in my career, right? So it's like it's all about like kind of trying to get to that next mountain, that next hill. And you come to the table with all this wisdom, being like, hey, maybe you shouldn't put as much emphasis on this one thing. Maybe there's some other things you should be thinking about, whether it's paternity leave or spending time with your girls when they're in kindergarten.
So I've no doubt I've done a good job of spending a fair amount of time with both girls. With both, even with one in Colorado. I mean, I'm as active as a parent can be with their two daughters in their lives. Today on the phone with Michaela, Mom said you're not going to be home till Thanksgiving, so I guess I'm coming out to Colorado end of August, September. And she's like, Dad, I just saw Mom. I know, but I don't want to wait till like November. It's like 5 years away. I'm coming. And so, Dad, end of September. So just to hang out with, love being present. I come from a family, my parents were divorced. My mom showed up to my baseball shit in high school. No one showed up for anything pretty much after high school. I don't even think if my parents were both alive today, I don't think they realized I graduated school. We're totally opposite of my parents today. We love being apart and active in both girls.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, I think you're an amazing father. As an outsider looking in, I think you're a really amazing father. And
Thank
I
you.
want to know Mitchel Zelinger's best practices to being a good dad.
Shh.
Loaded question.
God.
Like, what's some of the first things that come to mind? You said being present.
Michaela, give me your pinky. Dad, Michaela, give me your pinky. Try the sauce before you say, I'm only eating mac and cheese. So she'd give me her pinky, she'd put it in the sauce, she'd try the sauce, and Dad, that was pretty good. So all of her friends, their food vocabularies have all exploded. Because when they would come over, I would make fun of, Grant, give me your finger. Try this. Mac and cheese when you get home. Well, we're not doing mac and cheese. Try the sauce. And now all of a sudden, all of Michaela's and Isabella's friends are all trying the shit I was making in the kitchen. And it still goes on to this day. That, my both girls know when the kids, their friends come over, the house is, it's for them. And love them. The fact that both girls' friends still show up without the girls is pretty, how much richer, I just got the chills. How much richer can you be than not just my daughters still being present, but their friends still being present? It's really, I get to be that dad.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
How did you create a house where their friends felt comfortable enough to be there when they're not there?
I think because it's quite possible I myself have never actually grown up. So I could be a 28-year-old and a 22-year-old in a nanosecond. I know exactly, I've been them. I've been 22 and I've been 28. I get it. Been there, done all the same shit.
But everyone could say that.
Yeah, I say it, but I'm with them when Isabella's come back with her friends from Taylor Swift. Should I make grilled cheese for when you girls get home? They've been out all night. You're not going to go to Norm's, you're not going to Denny's. Why wouldn't you want a grilled cheese sandwich from Mitchell's? I just love, we love doing that. Love being present and active, and it's really awesome.
Yeah.
It's really, I think the relationship I have with both girls, and by proxy their friends, that's worth a few zeros in the equation. What I may not have in wealth, I have in other areas. And I know I'm not rich because of finances, but I'm filthy rich because of both of my daughters and their extended ecosystems.
And relationships. I would
And
say
relationships.
you are rich in relationships.
Rich in relationships, yeah.
I heard a friend that we both know, Sean Kelly. He said, "I'm a billionaire in love."
Damn him. Damn him. I'm a billionaire in love.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sean, damn you. I'm borrowing that.
Yeah, you should.
But it was, going back to Bill Crookston. He's the guy, and everyone here will tell you, your net worth is equal to your network. And I've learned a bunch of that from you. Your net worth is equal to your network. And I've been able to instill that in both girls.
Yeah.
And I can see how they're both, when I was growing up, nobody knew from a network. It's not, my father, I don't think, introduced me to anybody. I don't think he ever said, Mitch, I want to introduce you to. That never happened. And with both of my girls, Michaela, get over here. You're meeting Sean. Dad, I know. Sean, Michaela, I'll be back in 20 minutes. Right? So that's, and having a game, having fun with that. Who doesn't want to make a new friend?
Yeah.
It's silly. Why wouldn't you want to?
And I think people, they get uncomfortable with just breaking the ice. And then once someone can break the ice, or they break the ice, they have that kind of courage to take the first step forward, they realize, this wasn't as bad as I thought.
Oh my God, I love it. We're 1.5 degrees of separation. But both girls, when we would go to Ralph's, Dad, why do you always say hello to Miguel? Well, guess what? Guess what? Who Miguel is? He's like you and I, except he's in the produce department, and he's got a name badge. Why do you think he has a name badge? So you address him by Miguel. Hey, Miguel, what's going on, brother? Now, 10 years, 15 years later, walking to Ralph's. Hey, Mitchell, Miguel, what's up, my brother? And he's like a friend. Why would we not want to say hello to Miguel? Don't treat him like a robot. Fuck. Who wants to be treated like a robot? The next time you order a coffee at Starbucks, can you imagine? How about asking the person that's getting your shit? Ask me how they're doing. Fuck. They're getting coffee all day for a bunch of strangers that don't even make eye contact. How silly is that? Make eye contact. The magic that happens when you see the whites of the eyes, there's nothing greater than it. And I learned from my brother, the best tonic for a bad day is a sales call, because you get to go meet Sean Spear. And we're now talking about his dad in Valencia and his sister who's in Taiwan this weekend, wherever the fuck she's at. It goes somewhere else. How awesome is that?
Yeah. Why do you think people just treat people like machines, like robots? Why do you think we've lost that human touch, right? If you go to other places in the country, they always talk about like Southern hospitality or the Midwest, how kind people are. Why is it in the urban environments, right, on both coasts, whether you're in New York or the West Coast, feels like that connection isn't there as much? And if you can create that connection, right, which you have with people, it's like a superpower.
It's a superpower.
It's totally a superpower, but why don't more people do it? Is it the fear of just breaking that ice? It's uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable.
Have we gotten so attached to our phones that we've gotten out of the practice of saying hello and being human?
It takes a lot to, there was a big group in our Newport Beach office yesterday. Do you think somebody from that big group could have come over to introduce themselves to me? 20 fucking people? Not one of them. I mean, I had to go like I was the guy once again. I mean, why am I that guy?
Yeah, but don't you think so? I think
like,
about this.
Why couldn't you get up and go introduce yourself?
Okay, so
Silly.
I've thought about this quite a bit, and I say this to some of the younger kind of people I come across. Like, it's a sign of confidence for you to go up and introduce yourself to someone, right? Like, your ability to go up in a group of 20 people and go, "Hey, everyone, I'm Mitchell. How are you? What's going on?" Like, that's confidence right there. And if you're younger and you can do that, I would say it elevates you onto a whole nother level.
God. So, Chicago this past year, I'm staying at Megan's house in the suburbs. She lives in Downers Grove with her family.
We don't know who you're talking about.
Let me start over. Fuck, don't have to do that again. So I went to visit my niece, Megan, in Downers Grove. Her best friend comes over to spend the night. She's visiting from Toronto. She grew up in Chicago-ish, went to college with Megan. She's in from Toronto for the evening. She tells me she works for the company in Toronto. I text my friend Jonas, who lives in Toronto. Jonas, I just met this gal at Megan's. She's from Toronto. Call me, and I'm going to put her on the phone, and you say something Canadian. Mitchell, really? Jonas, just fucking call. So Jonas calls. I give the phone to the friend. They both know why they're talking to each other because they both live in Toronto. I go do something in the kitchen. I come back 20 minutes later. They're still talking. Jonas's kids have been in her house, and her kids have been in Jonas's house.
What?
They had never, but the parents had not met each other.
That's crazy.
What the fuck? Is anything better than that? That is like unbelievable.
No, that's amazing.
There's nothing, but look at the randomness of it. It was, and all I did, Jonas, call me, say something in Canadian, right? I give, and now they're fucking neighbors. The kids go to the same school. How stupid is that?
That's crazy. Is that pretty typical for you in a day? Because you're someone who I think of as like a super connector, right? You have an insane community of people that love you and know you and work with you. Like, are you someone who's always just connecting people all day?
I think about what I did yesterday to designers wanting to meet the life sciences guy. And so we schlepped to Newport Beach. Everybody meet. You need to know each other, connect, do your shit. I'll be back in 45 minutes.
It's like the grown-up bringing the kids together.
Oh, sure. It's the craziest thing. You wanted to meet him, hey, I'll be back. How are we doing? All good. But someone just, there's nothing greater than making a new acquaintance.
So
If you and I had not met, think about it.
yeah,
The balls it took back then.
Yeah.
At the back of
the Remy's.
the Remy's, but it was in the converted church or on 6th, or I can't even remember where the hell. Could have sworn it was a converted church. Anyway, you
Like
were
a
in the
Masonic
back.
temple or something.
You were in the back. I was in the back, and that's how we met.
Yeah.
What do you do? I don't know. What do you do? Why are you looking at me like? Why are you looking at me at all? I mean, that's how it started.
That's how it started.
At hello.
Yeah.
At hello. How stupid. At hello.
What would you recommend, Mitchell, or what do you recommend to a lot of the young sales reps, or people that are just getting started in their career that have a hard time with that hello? They just got to get over it. Like, is there anything that any advice you could give them? Like, what would you tell your girls?
So Isabella is, I've been fortunate with Isabella because she's got a whole lot more of my DNA. And, when I think about Isabella and her current position, we made a game out of when she needed to make a career change. Isabella, 30 cups of coffee in 30 days. I'll give you the 30 names. You reach out, and one of those cups of coffee turned into her new job. But she knew how to. Hi, I'm Isabella Mitchell's daughter. It was easy for her to. So I gave her the names. Some of them I helped tee up. Michaela would be totally different. Dad, no. I would have to do a little bit more to help. But it's, for some of us, it's a game. For me, it's my crack is watching the connection take place.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything greater than you two didn't know each other until I showed up for 1 minute, and now you guys are going sailing together. Is there anything better? In 30 years, you'll remember the moment in time that Zelinger weirdo introduced us, and that's how it happened. What could be better than that? There's really nothing, because doing that affects all of us. It's got nothing to do with your career, your position. You made a friend. Isabella has been charged. Isabella, just go make friends. I promise you, the shit will. You're too new to real estate. What are you gonna tell me about real estate? Like, you don't even say real estate. It's too early in your career. Just go make friends. Oh my God, she has taken making friends through. She's a PhD in friend making.
Yeah.
Just like what I learned from Bill Crookston, your net worth is your network, and keep filling your black book with people you've met, but people you want to stay connected with.
Yeah, I think that's something that I've learned from you over the years is your ability to befriend so many people that the people you sell to or the people in your community, once they're your friend, if you have a client that's a friend, they're a client for life.
What could I possibly, if we meet a new somebody, what could I possibly tell you about Tangram? You know what the fuck we do.
Well, I think we need to go into that because I don't think we've actually talked about Tangram. We've talked about Mitchell's best practices on many levels.
But they know you know what we do. What do you want to know?
Okay, give the 30-second or 2-minute little pitch on Tangram.
We make spaces so cool to work in that even both of my daughters want to go to work with Dad. So
through the design,
the
through
space.
the furniture.
Look where we are today.
Yeah, and for the audience that isn't here,
we've had quinceañeras here, we've had birthdays here, we've had everything but a bris and a bar mitzvah. We've had everything here. Why would you not want to come? All of our offices are the same. You gotta be stupid to not. We make them so cool that both of my daughters, like for whoever's listening to this, did you ever want to go to the office with your dad? Boring.
Yeah, but this isn't.
We've never had. Tangram makes spaces so cool that even my kids want to go to work with Dad.
Yeah. So we're in their downtown location, which as I'm looking at, we're in an office right now. There's a screen that is the size of an entire wall. I don't even know how big that is. Would that be 12 feet by 10 feet? I mean,
My
it's
God,
massive.
I should know that. It's
15 feet by 12 feet, whatever it is. It's massive.
it's X times Y.
And then and then there's a kitchen, which is, I mean, it looks like it could be a kitchen of a house that's
All right, it's
massive.
like the group that came in today for lunch. Every meal is like Thanksgiving.
So so Tangram creates really cool spaces, and I think there's a conversation in what space looks like that I want to get into. But taking a step back, Tangram specifically designed this space as a hub for people to come together. As in, you want to work out of this space, right? You want your employees to come here. You want affiliates to come here. You want your daughters, people just to come use this space, come to our space, and create community with this space, right? A home base. But you've also kind of made this space your own, right? Where you started doing these dinner series out of this space, which I've been to a few of these dinners, and it's a special when you sit there, you go buy the food at Whole Foods, you cook it here, and then we all sit down together and have a really intentional conversation on a specific topic, and all eat together.
Can you imagine you go to a restaurant, you spend 2 hours, if you're a group of 6 or 8, it's a rectangular table, and you're here, I'm here. Guess who I guess I get to interact with the whole fucking evening? Just you.
Yeah.
That guy over here, don't know anything about him. Here, dick. Here, you're not leaving till you know everybody. It's like Thanksgiving. Like, take your shoes off, put the ball game on, get a beer, glass of wine, chill the fuck out, and go. You cannot do this at a restaurant.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything, and I know this sounds crazy, but because I've been doing it longer than anybody in this office space, but the thought of going to a restaurant makes me want to break out in hives because you're yelling, you really can't hear, and you're being way too polite by not moving. So you're stuck. And honey, how was dinner? Well, I can tell you 14,000 things about Sean. Couldn't tell you a thing about anybody else. What a waste of an evening. Quite frankly, what a waste. Didn't meet anybody else. But we'll talk about, but we were at the dinner. Yeah, but tell me something about me. You don't know a thing about me. So to be able to leave from a meal here and knowing something where it is intentional, and now we help with the intentionality, whether it's some of the questions that are asked, whether it be, so I was in Seattle 2 weeks ago, and with the designers I was with, Andra and I went to a cornet event in Anaheim, and the guest speaker was Candy Chang. And Candy...
I'm sorry, who's Candy Chang?
Candy Chang. So if you were to look her up, Candy's best friend was dying of cancer. And so the best friend says to Candy, Candy, promise me before you die, you will ... You fill in the blanks. So Candy lives in, I think it's the 9th Ward or the 10th Ward, and I should know this by now. So she's passing this dilapidated house in New Orleans on her way to the bus stop, and the house was 100% blight. Like it was like it needed to be bulldozed. But what she did is she turned the house into a piece of art by having a screen made that fit on the face of the house, and she had 100 areas where you could fill in. But it started with, before I die, I will.
Oh, wow.
And you had to fill in the blank. Just got the chills.
Wow.
Can you imagine having a dinner? Well, with you two guys. So Andra and I are listening to her, the cornet. We come out from listening to Candy, and we're both, oh my God. And we come out, so there are two things about this. So one's with Andra and the other is with Lindsay. Lindsay, there's another video about Crazy Man dancing on the side of a hill. We'll get to that in a second. So Candy Chang, Before I Die, right? So we walk out of the convention center. There's a big wall. Before I Die, all the markers are there. It's, a convention wall. And we're all, I don't know, must be 500 of us looking at the wall, waiting for somebody to write something. So, okay, I'm going to be number one. I'll be the guy dancing on the hill. Get to that TED Talk next. I write down, before I die, I want to be the best grandfather. And my motivation was my brother passed away at the age of 60, and he was not around to be the best grandfather. So for me, it wasn't to be, my motivation was to be here, to be the best grandfather. My brother, at the age of, he left way too early, and I want to, before I die, I want to be the best grandfather, which means I have to be here long enough to be the best grandfather. My brother fucking missed out on all of that. So I was the first person to write, I want to be the best grandfather. So Crazy Man dancing on the side of the hill. Crazy Man is crazy until number 2 shows up. I was number 1, and then Andra showed up. So I wrote, before I die, and then she showed up, number 2, validated crazy. So you need the first person.
Yeah.
Number 2 validates number 1. So I was number 1 before I die. Andra showed up, then everybody piled on. And I've been fortunate, Lindsay and I joke about this, that how she and I have worked, she's always been my number 2. I would have a crazy idea. This is what we should do. And we would, I do it. And then she would come and do it after me. And then everybody would fucking show up. So number 2 is critical. So, but the asking at a dinner, ever going around the table, before I die, Sean, before I die, I will.
I'd like to be a father like you.
Adonis, before I die. Now, mind you, it need not be deep. It could be I want to travel. I want to go to all 5 continents. It need not be anything more. I want to bat 300. I want to go to every baseball stadium. Cannot be, need not be like this. We're at different stages. So it could be I want to take up surfing. Before I die, I want to what?
Direct a feature film.
You just said it, and guess what now happens? We now check in together, and how the fuck are you doing with directing that film? How are you doing? You said before you die.
Right.
Come on, man. Let's go. Chop, chop.
Oh, how am I doing?
Yeah. No, we'll be checking in now. Because now we know.
Well, I think, what that does, a question like that, is it creates a connection. It creates an intimacy.
It's real. There's no bullshit.
Yeah, there's no, so you really get to know deep down
Deep.
what's in someone's
We
heart.
now know something. We now know something about each other.
Yeah.
The 3 of us didn't know. You want to be a father like me. I want to be a grandfather, that my brother. Do you want to? How selfish of you to just want to fucking direct a feature film, for fuck's sake.
I'm 22.
What's also interesting, Mitchell, is the first answer that comes to mind. Is that really your answer? Right? Is there a bias to that first answer? Like if you dive deep into that question, like does the answer change at all?
Mine has stayed the same. Others, it's normal to change.
Yeah.
So if you do a Myers-Briggs or any of those personality things,
Do you believe that stuff?
so it's great because it tells you exactly. I believe they help.
I know what you
Me
are. Let me
get
guess.
you.
Let me guess what you are.
But what's fascinating is if we all did the Myers, whatever the test is, because there's 100 of them. If we all retested years later, they change. I'm different today than I was the first time I did the test.
Interesting.
So
I think you're ENFP.
NBA, NFL, MLB. What the fuck? You got everything's a fucking acronym. I have no idea what you just said, but I know what it is. I'd have to go look at mine.
That's hilarious. That is so good. Well, I kind of going back, bringing it full circle to the professor that you talked about at Northridge.
Bill Crookston.
Yeah, and saying that you were going to be the evangelist for your dad's company and playing to your strengths, right? I think with what you're doing here, Mitchell, in creating community, creating an atmosphere where people feel safe, that you're creating deep relationships. You're playing to your strengths.
Oh my God, I
And
can't. During COVID, every Tuesday, I had underestimated, actually, I'd never even thought of it. But during COVID is when I realized how many employees and friends of employees lived in downtown. So could you imagine being in your fucking apartment
yeah,
all day? So
hopefully they had AC.
every Tuesday I made dinner. If you live in downtown, bring two people.
Yeah, which for the audience, I think what you're saying is figure out what's unique about you and lean into that. It might not be making dinners or asking intimate questions. Maybe you're someone who's, I don't know, maybe you're into cars and like going to car shows and being a car fanatic, or maybe you're
No,
super analytical and
no,
no? You think it's all about creating the dinners and bringing people together?
bringing people. I can't hanging out with my kids. Uh, Michaela's calling me to FaceTime me to go through a meal she's making. And Isabella and Matt, her boyfriend, doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Ingrid, how awesome is this?
So,
Two girls, I don't play catch with them, but to call in, I mean, we're going over recipes. I mean, how fantastic that both girls are still. I was never this connected with my parents, and I'm still connected with both. I can't imagine it never being like this.
I feel like you have a lot more insight on office environments than most people do. And I feel like we find ourselves at such an inflection point of like, what's up, what's down, what do office environments look like as we come back from COVID? Our office is dead. Are they alive? I mean, what's, Tangram being the true thought leader in this space, you being a leader at Tangram. What are your thoughts on just office environments right now, and where do you see them going?
So, to a person that's been in downtown today on a Tuesday, now it absolutely helped that we had a group of 10 in for lunch. We also had 8 or 9 from Tangram and Studio Other in here, and the guests that came in for lunch all said to a person, "Whoa, this space is happening." And we've been talking now about community, and there is no greater place to create community than your fucking office. And to think you can do it by not showing up, you at the age you just graduated, LMU, it is a fallacy to think you're going to create community by working from your studio apartment, editing shit all day. You need, even an introvert, needs the energy of people. Even if you're in a dark area editing, you need to feel what's going on behind you. Like this group, I know they could hear us in here. They are picking up, they're fucking loving it because they could feel it. And I worry about your generation, not so much mine. I think we are underestimating the impact of the lack of a place, being, space. When I hear the traffic, when we all got jobs out of college back in the day, you tucked your fucking shirt in, you wore a tie. Traffic was a part of the onboarding. And now a 25-year-old, the traffic, fuck you, the traffic. Yeah, there's gonna be fucking traffic. Yeah. You're lucky it's not your great-grandparents who had a fucking horse and buggy. I mean, who are you to even have an opinion like that? Now, that's my inside voice that gets a little excited, because the 25-year-old, much like Nick Meter and paternity, is entitled to that because it's all changing. But what you cannot replace is the community that's here tonight and today. And when you go home, I mean, I get looking out through the window and seeing the ocean. Oh, that's really good, man. It's good for about 5 fucking minutes. Now I got to go do something. Otherwise, you're going to go stale. Just as Greg Lumsden from Countrywide said to me years ago, Mitchell, if you don't get back in the game, you're going to go stale. And I worry about way too many youngsters. Can't believe I'm saying youngsters, but I worry about going stale at a mass level because we're just not showing up.
So let's play this out. The Zoom work from home environment keeps some legs, goes on for a few more years. What's the impact to society? What's the impact to the younger generation, in your opinion?
When Michaela said she wanted to be, Michaela, if you're listening to this, I apologize. I should know the exact psychology child degree thing, but anything on the psychology baseline is a growth industry now. Because if you weren't in therapy before, you're going to be in therapy now. And I believe this moment in time is leading to an explosion of all sorts of mental issues and concerns and ego and self-fulfillment. And we've just totally underestimated the lack of connectivity.
Yeah.
Whether it be, if you're 20, you're my daughter's age, so you studied from your apartment or home online. There's no way you can, there's nothing good about that you can tell me. You can try to convince me, no way. Couldn't meet a girl, couldn't meet a guy. You missed out on the whole thing.
Yeah, I feel like the younger generation, that's a lot. That the statistics on people meeting their mate early on in their careers at the office is actually very high. And by not going into an office, you're missing out on an opportunity to have meaningful connections with either romantic relationships, but also with friends.
Yeah, the young kids in this office, they'll quote me, like, cause right here, they'll, they now they know for me to ask, what the fuck were you thinking? And if they weren't here, they wouldn't hear me say, what the fuck were you thinking? Just for the needling and the give and take and the banter. We need the banter, let alone connecting people as an introduction, just showing up. I mean,
what's that saying, Mitchell, where it's like 90% of the battle is just showing up, right?
Just show the fuck up.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
And I feel like you're doing yourself such a disservice by
not
thinking
showing up?
You get caught up in the details of like, oh, I don't want to commute for 30 minutes or
So if
I could be so much more productive at home. I don't know if I would agree with that. I think,
I don't want to be any more productive than I am, because I could be a whole lot more productive. I don't want to be any more productive.
Yeah.
I'm already there. But what I will tell you is, if, God forbid, we need to make a change in head count. Let me go back. We talk on the sales side. We need to make it emotionally difficult for you not to hire us. And the more I know about Sean and his family, the more difficult it is for him to not want to give Mitchell and company the contract, because I'm in the family. I've made it emotionally difficult for him not to work with me. If I've got a choice between this employee and that employee, one I'm connected to and one I'm not, the one I'm not connected to is fucked. If we got a layoff, if we got a headcount issue, if you're not emotionally connected, you're out.
Yeah. And I'd also
And
say
that speaks to all sorts of things.
agreed, but I'd also say they're missing an opportunity to have the wisdom and to have the to be near kind of the executives of a company
You can't
where
if you're not here, you can't trip over an opportunity.
yes.
You can't hear, you won't believe what's going on with Joe and Mitchell with his daughters. And at least you got all of this shit.
But then but also too, Mitchell, you're not hearing the way you communicate with people.
You hear
But
nothing.
you're not hearing best practices of how to make a cold call or a warm call for that matter. And so I just don't, you and I could have done this podcast interview over a Zoom. I don't think the magic. Actually, I know for a fact the magic would not have been there. It's super hard to connect with someone when you're staring at a screen.
Isabel has done a really good job. So am I supposed to use names or not names? I'm not good not using the name.
Yeah.
But Isabel is good friends with a developer. And I told Isabel, we got to get your developer friend to go visit our project for Warner Brothers in Burbank. Mitchell, I'm gonna do it. No, Isabel, how about doing it right now? Send him an invite. No, I'm gonna do it. No, well, if you don't do it, I'm gonna do it. So I mean, I get it, but I'm telling you, you've got 5 minutes. Either you're sending the invite or I'm sending the invite. So we bantered. Guess who sent the invite? She sent the invite. Guess who's showing up to the tour? Just the playing like that, the needling, just fucking Mitchell forced me to hit the send button. And guess what happened? I now have a tour at Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
If minus that, there's none of that.
What's Tangram's protocol for coming into the office? Is there any mandate for how many days you need to be in the office?
Okay, so inside voice, I believe Tangram at this moment at 5:45 on the 8th of August, I believe we have failed in articulating a demonstrative back to office or RTO, return to office. I think we have failed thus far. I think we are so concerned with what Mr. recent graduate thinks that we haven't done anything. And I'm of the position that let's just copy Europe and be done. Make it a 4-day work week and be done.
Oh, you're saying you want to buy into we're only working 4 days a week.
I don't
take Fridays off.
I doubt we'll ever. Some of us are. Listen, for my entire career, I utilize all 24 hours. Like there is no 8 to 5. If I'm not home until 11 o'clock tonight, and I've been here since 8, I don't need to be here at 8 in the morning. I use all 24 hours. I've used it my entire career. And so I just lost my train of fucking thought.
You're saying, you brought something up about 4 days of a work week versus 5. I'm curious to know Tangram's approach to bringing people back to the office. Are they mandating some of these other companies?
Some of us wish we went back to how it was. It ain't going to be 5 days a week. So I think we should settle, and the negotiation should be a 4-day work week, and be done.
4 days in the office?
In the office.
Got it.
And it's not about being more productive. I get that. But could you imagine recruiting an employee to come work at Tangram, and you come in and there's no one there? Can you imagine calling mom and dad? Honey, tell me about the interview. Oh, it was fantastic. There was nobody there. I met the HR guy. Tell me about the office. Oh, it's 220,000 square feet. There were 5 people. I love the fact that there were only 5 people. That's where you want to go work? Like, what are you going to learn?
Is that what headquarters looks like right now?
Oh my God, it's pathetic. Now, it's not that dire, but it ain't much greater than that.
So if you were giving advice to some founders, CEOs, people that are trying to kind of think through how they're going to create culture, how they're going to bring people back, what would you say to them right now?
I created my business before you. I'm going to create it after you. And when I created it with all of us here. You are not qualified to challenge how I created my business. In fact, if you don't like it, I will help you move on. My business, this is what we're doing. And I don't know, anybody can jump up and down with how their business is like crushing it now? No. So when we were crushing it, we were all together. And now this thing is changing. The only thing that's changing is we're not back at it.
Yeah, I'm like, how does this affect our society from a macro level, right? Because for a fact, lot of our adversarial countries, a lot of the adversarial countries that are kind of going against us, they're not probably taking as easy as approach to moving their societies forward and this like, work when you want, right? You just think about like America was built upon like work hard.
Hard work.
Yes.
And
But Mitchell, but you're saying hard work and you want that hard work, but you're thinking, okay, maybe it's just 12-hour days, 4 days a week, or 10-hour days, 4 days a week. Is that what you're kind of thinking?
I don't. So Isabella starts a new profession. The pandemic happens. She gets furloughed. So I'm dealing as a parent with the emotions of her daughter. His daughter is furloughed. And I remember telling Isabella, if you're not going to get paid, show up to the office. While no one else is showing up to the office, you show up to the office. I believe a game changer in her trajectory is going to be, while no one else was showing up, she was showing up. Not only was she not getting paid because she was furloughed, but she was showing up. She was in the game. She showed up. Everyone else, no, we're going to take an extended vacation. We'll work on the garden. No, she allowed me to smack her on the back of the head. Show up.
What about companies that are hiring all over the country? Do you think that works for a short period of time and then comes back to bite them?
We've tried hiring salespeople in different cities, and I can't get to them soon enough. I can't get to New York quick enough to impart any wisdom or culture. And so it's been a fail in some cities because we've hired individuals, and the individual's not a part of any great whole. So it sounds romantic to have people in different places, but they're a part of what? Now it may work for that individual because of life circumstances and needing to be home. There might be something else going on. If this is about just business, we need to get back at it. And there's no way you can argue with me. And think about the business we're in. We're in the business of fucking space. So we need to celebrate space. Otherwise, we should celebrate apartments. We need to be back at it. Community. We need fucking community. You cannot create community unless we're together. And you can't create culture unless we're together. How do you know a thing about Joe Lozowski unless you fucking run into him?
Yeah, but what about these companies that are saying we work remote, Mitchell, but we do
remote.
this once a quarter or once a month with these retreats where we go somewhere cool.
Failure. They're intoxicated for a moment. I wouldn't put if they are stock to purchase, I ain't buying it.
Okay, so predictions here. Right now, if you look at the data, we're creeping up on over 40% availability rate in office buildings. Does that get worse, or is that going to get better in Mitchell's eyes?
I believe in order if what I heard from Elizabeth Lowry from Milkus Manfredi in Boston, and I subscribe to it, the office needs to be a magnet, not a mandate. If the office is going to be a magnet, not a mandate, then you might have to take one full floor and put a basketball court in it. And you may have to take one full fucking floor and put pickleball courts on it. I don't think you're getting rid of any fucking square footage. And if you're the employee, if you don't show up and we get rid of real estate, who reaps the fucking reward of the lack of real estate? It ain't going to be you. Who benefits? Take advantage of the real estate.
Yeah.
Get out of, I get it's great working and living in Sherman Oaks, a bedroom community. How fucking boring.
I think you just said something that's really interesting. So to these developers and office owners out there, you're recommending that they put more amenity space in their buildings.
Make it so when I show up, I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
Make it so I get here, I don't want to go anywhere.
Well, I think office buildings in general have been pretty tired. You
They're-
go into them, they
Have
have
the same. Look what I mean. That's a data farm.
Yeah.
But look at it. Holy fuck.
yeah.
That's what I'm staring
They
at.
haven't changed. It
Hasn't
looks the
changed.
same since the 80s. But I think your idea, and honestly, it's brilliant. Like, why couldn't you take a floor and put a pickleball court in there?
Do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the employees get no benefit if the real estate goes
No,
away.
I'm not kidding. I think that's absolutely brilliant. Like, why wouldn't you put a wellness center in there with saunas, and
Whatever
cold
the shit
plunges,
is. Whatever
like
the shit is.
put
it in
a
there.
high-end gym. Think about how you can help put people in peak state, how you can create an atmosphere where people want to go there.
How about
and
having
be
your
in
dry
community.
cleaning picked up on Tuesdays?
Yeah.
Tuesdays at 10 o'clock.
Some offices do that. But I think your pickleball and your basketball,
shit.
that type of stuff.
You want to go to the gym tonight? No, I'll meet you at the office.
Yeah.
Let's get our game on.
Yeah. So
Some of my best sales meetings, Lindsay's here. She'll tell you. We've gone to the LA Athletic Club.
I've done it with you.
Let's go. We'll shoot foul shots.
Yeah. Or we've run around that track.
Run
and
around
then
the track. Guess what?
lifted
You do
weights.
It's no different than when I've met him in Santa Monica. We'll go take foul shots. And what do you think we're talking about in between fucking foul shots?
Yeah.
We're getting caught up over a foul shot.
Yeah.
A foul shot.
So do you find your best meetings are when you're out and about doing stuff? Like, do you find that like going for a walk with someone or taking them to go work out is better than you sitting in this room and just having a one-on-one?
I have no doubt I have failed with some. We used to have walking sales meetings. Let's go for a walk. Now, the weather has been for shit. Like, it's hot as Hades out there right now. But I used to do that a whole lot more. I've taken Amtrak to San Diego, so we would have 2.5 hours there and 2.5 hours back. I've done that just to mix it up.
Yeah.
How silly is that?
What do they say? What do they say? Spice or variety is the spice of life.
Right.
That is
Mix
real.
it up.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, absolutely.
We got to get back to the office. We got to get back in the game. I worry we got to get back in the game.
And if you don't subscribe to this, you will get passed. There are a lot of people that are coming into the office every day. I mean, I walked into your office here in downtown LA and this place is entirely full. Like, there are people that are hungry, they're ambitious, they want to succeed, and they're coming in. And if you're not going in and you're not surrounded by your executives or you're not surrounded by the right types of people, you will get surpassed.
You'll be surprised.
Yeah.
And all you had to do was show up.
All you had to do is show up. But also going back, one of the things that you told me early on in my career that I've never forgotten was do the one more thing.
One more every day.
Every day. That's something that you told me. Make one more call, Sean. On your way home, make one more call. Or one more email. I even think about that when I'm at the gym. Just, all right, I was going to do 5. I'm just going to do one more. One more rep before I leave. I just got to get that extra thing because it compounds. You taught me this early on in my career. It's a game of inches, and over time, those inches become feet and miles, and you all of a sudden start surpassing yourself over an entire career just because of that one extra rep.
And any given Sunday, the speech Al Pacino gives, it's about the inches around us.
Yeah.
We don't need 100 yards in one shot. We just need the inches around us. Bill Crookston is the guy that said, Mitchell, if you're calling your day at 10 o'clock in the morning, no judging, but if you're ending your day at 10, do one more thing on your way to wherever the fuck you're going, because you've already amortized your day. The magic happens at the thing that happens at 10:01, because you did the one more thing. Because if I'm competing against you two and you're leaving at 10 o'clock, you guys are thinking about the surfboard on top of the fucking Subaru and how am I getting it. So while you're thinking about that, we're doing one more thing. And if we all did one more thing, you can't keep up with the numbers. If everybody here right now from Tangram and Studio Other made one more call right now, there's no way, by competition, if you're listening to this, there's no fucking way you can keep up with the 30 calls we're making right now at 6 p.m. Tell me how you're going to keep up with that. You're not.
Yeah, baby.
Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah.
Can I do that?
Yeah, that fires me
I guess
up.
I just did it.
Yeah, that fires me up. I mean, it's so true though. Like, to anyone listening out there,
Just do
like
one
it's
more thing.
all about doing one more thing. It's a mindset.
Yeah.
It's a mindset, and it doesn't have to be massive. It could be a text message. Hey, Mitch, walking out of the office right now, thinking about you. Boom, that's it. Hey, Mitch, would love to grab coffee sometime. Been thinking about you. Let me know when you're free. Boom.
So I'm with the sales guy from Dallas. He's asked me what's going on with the design from in New York. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. I go to the bathroom. I send the message out. 2 seconds later, looking forward to seeing you, 7 World Trade Center on the 29th. I did one more thing, and now we have an appointment in New York City.
Oh, wow.
And I still get so excited with a response to an email, a phone call, an invitation. I still jump up and down like I won the fucking lottery just from looking forward to meeting you. Love it.
Yeah.
That was a one more thing yesterday because I was done. Went to the bathroom so I could be left alone. Hit the send button. 2 minutes later, looking forward to meeting you.
Yeah.
I mean, stop it.
Yeah, how we met was one more thing.
One more thing.
One more thing, you deciding last minute to buy tickets to go to the Remy's, which is basically the real estate hawkers.
$700 fucking dollars.
Yeah.
We went from
to go.
We went from
and,
CBRE.
and you and I meet each other, and now all of a sudden we have such an incredible relationship.
Took a taxi
Speaking on
cab.
this podcast.
Taxi cab from the open house of CBRE
Yeah.
to wherever that event was. If not for the best $700 I've ever spent.
Yeah. And to the audience, and I've told you this before, Mitchell, but you taking that extra thing created a relationship with me, and there's people you meet in your life that change the trajectory of your life. And you have 100% been that for me over the years.
Shit. Thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Thank you.
Your wisdom over the years, I mean, has just been a lot of who I am is because of you, and I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Can we end it there?
Would love to.
Yeah, baby.
I feel like my ears have lost 5 pounds.